When someone vanishes in the middle of the ocean, the truth isn't what you think. Cruise ships are floating cities, thousands of passengers, endless entertainment, and smiles everywhere. But behind that perfect vacation lies a silent, unsettling reality. Every year, people disappear at sea. Some slip away quietly. Some are never found. And what happens next is far more complicated than most realize. Who investigates? How fast does the ship respond? And are cruise lines truly telling passengers the full story, or covering it up to protect their reputation? Today, we're going to uncover what really happens when someone goes missing on a cruise. From frantic midnight searches to secret reports that never make headlines. This is the dark side of paradise that few ever talk about. So fasten your seatbelt, or in this case, your life jacket, because what you're about to hear might change the way you see cruises forever. It's a nightmare no one expects. You wake up, and someone's gone. Since the early 2000s, over 400 people have been reported missing from cruise ships worldwide. That's right, hundreds. Some vanish after a night of drinking, others while standing on balconies, and a few with no explanation at all. But here's what most passengers don't realize. Cruise ships aren't required to make every disappearance public. If someone goes missing, it can take hours before anyone even notices, especially if they're traveling alone. The ocean is vast, and once a person goes overboard, every second matters. Within minutes, the ship can travel miles away from the spot where it happened. By the time the alarm sounds, it's often too late. And that's where the real questions begin. How do cruise lines handle it? And who's really in charge when tragedy strikes at sea? Here's the first shocking truth. Cruise ships don't operate under the laws of the country you boarded from. They follow the laws of the country where the ship is registered, often places like the Bahamas, Panama, or Liberia. These are called flags of convenience, chosen for lower taxes and fewer legal obligations. So, when someone disappears, it's not the FBI or local police who rush to the scene. It's the ship's security team, employed by the cruise line itself. They take statements, review CCTV, and write internal reports. Only if there's clear evidence of a crime do outside authorities get involved. And even then, jurisdiction gets messy. If the ship's in international waters, technically, it's under foreign control. That means investigations can drag on for weeks, or quietly vanish altogether. And that's exactly why many families of missing passengers say they never got the full truth. When a passenger is reported missing, the clock starts ticking. The first step is a ship-wide search. Crew members sweep every deck, every lounge, every public restroom. Cabin stewards knock on doors. CCTV footage is pulled. But here's where delays happen. Ships are massive. By the time security finishes searching, the vessel could be dozens of miles from the person's last known location. Then comes the overboard protocol, a coordinated announcement to the bridge, engines, and local maritime rescue services. But launching a full-scale search and rescue operation isn't instant. The captain must alert the nearest coast guard, stop the ship, and calculate drift patterns based on wind and current. Sometimes this takes an hour or more. In that time, someone in the water could already be gone. Crew members have admitted anonymously that it's one of their worst fears, because even with the best technology, locating a single person in the vast ocean is like finding a coin in a hurricane. Once the search begins, something else happens quietly behind the scenes. The story gets managed. Cruise lines are billion-dollar brands built on trust and luxury. A missing passenger headline doesn't fit that image. So, public announcements are carefully worded. You'll rarely hear "man overboard." Instead, it's softened to phrases like medical emergency or passenger unaccounted for. Passengers on board might never even know someone disappeared unless they saw it themselves. Meanwhile, the company's PR team is already drafting statements. The captain is in touch with corporate headquarters, and all crew are instructed not to talk. Even if the Coast Guard is involved, the cruise line's legal team ensures only controlled information is released. The result? Families often get vague updates, and the truth becomes tangled in layers of silence. Because at sea, reputation protection can come before revelation. With all the tech we have today, you'd think this problem wouldn't exist. But most cruise ships still don't have mandatory overboard detection systems. These are advanced sensors that can detect when someone falls into the ocean. Some newer ships have them, but not all. Why? Because they're expensive, complex, and sometimes give false alarms. Without them, crew members must rely on witnesses or CCTV footage. often reviewing hours of video manually. In one tragic case, it took 8 hours before anyone realized a passenger was missing. By then, the ship was 100 miles away. So while technology could save lives, cost and convenience often win. And that's one of the biggest reasons disappearances remain unsolved. Not because they can't be prevented, but because no one's required to prevent them. For families, the nightmare doesn't end when the ship docks. It begins. Imagine being told your loved one went missing with no footage, no witnesses, and no clear answers. Then you're asked to leave the ship, while the investigation continues overseas under foreign law. Many families describe the same feeling: confusion, helplessness, and disbelief. They try to contact authorities, but no one takes full responsibility. The cruise line points to the flag country. The flag country points to local investigators. And in the end, the truth sinks beneath bureaucracy. Some families have even sued cruise lines for negligence, claiming slow response times and lack of safety measures. But winning those cases is extremely rare. In the eyes of maritime law, passengers assume certain risks when boarding a ship. And once you're in international waters, those protections you have on land fade away into the horizon. Behind closed doors, many crew members admit they fear these situations the most. Because when someone vanishes, everyone on board feels it, even if they're told not to talk. A former security officer once revealed, "We're trained to stay calm, but inside it's chaos. Everyone's searching, but no one wants to believe what's happening." Crew members also say they're instructed to avoid speculation and keep passengers calm. No panic, no gossip, no details. Some even claim that after the incident, staff are asked to sign confidentiality agreements before disembarkation. So while the public sees a calm, professional response, behind the scenes it's frantic, emotional, and sometimes heartbreaking. Because for the people who work at sea, they know better than anyone how unforgiving the ocean can be. Here's the darkest part. Not every disappearance is accidental. In some cases, investigations later reveal foul play, intoxication, or mental health crises. But sometimes, it's something more sinister. There have been cases where security footage mysteriously malfunctioned, or evidence went missing before authorities boarded. And once the ship moves to a new jurisdiction, collecting evidence becomes nearly impossible. That's why former investigators say the cruise industry operates in a gray area between corporate control and legal loopholes. When someone dies or disappears, the truth depends entirely on who's asking the questions. And too often, those questions stop once the headlines fade. So while cruise lines promise safety and transparency, the ocean still keeps its secrets, deep, silent, and untraceable. So, what really happens if you go missing on a cruise? The truth is, it depends on where you vanish, who's watching, and whether the cruise line wants the world to know. The ocean is beautiful, but it's also vast, and once you disappear into it, finding answers becomes almost impossible. So next time you sail, remember, every safety drill, every camera, every crew instruction exists for a reason. Because out there, far from land, you're not just on vacation. You're in a world where the rules of land don't always apply. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon, because in the next episode, we'll uncover the hidden cruise secrets you were never supposed to know. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and always respect the sea.